Hello world, it's Birdo Prey 5, Qapla. The first episode of Star Trek Picard was released, and despite the problems I had with the trailers, the rumors, and the short trek, Children of Mars, I was thoroughly excited to watch this. So much so, I went to sleep early so I could wake up at 3 a.m. to watch it. 3 a.m. There's no other TV or movie franchise I'd do that for. I dare anyone to challenge my devotion to Star Trek. For a show that we were told was specifically not going to be a sequel to Star Trek: The Next Generation, the first several minutes of Picard would make us think otherwise. It opens with a beautiful shot of the Enterprise D flying through some sort of colorful nebula, and we go in through a window to see Captain Picard and Data playing poker. And I know the Enterprise D might not be everyone's favorite Enterprise, but I was happy to see her flying again in full HD glory. Bing Crosby is singing Blue Skies in the background, which is the same song Data sung at Riker and Troy's wedding in Nemesis. Fans with an eye for detail will note that the uniform Picard and Data are wearing, the gray ones first seen in Star Trek First Contact, and in later seasons of Deep Space Nine, were never used on the Enterprise D. When the D crashed, they were still wearing the more classic-looking TNG uniforms. And yes, this entire paragraph is just so I can justify putting that footage of the Enterprise D crashing into the planet. Don't let Troy fly the ship. And fans with an ear for detail will note something too.
Now that you have told me that, Captain, I am confused about which deception to employ.
Did you notice it?
Now that you have told me that, Captain, I am confused about which deception to employ.
It was my third or fourth viewing when I noticed it. Data used a contraction.
Now that you have told me that, Captain, I am confused about which deception to employ.
It's been a long time, but Data never learned to use contractions, or at least wasn't supposed to, even though it's incredibly easy to code contractions even today. In canon, however, Data would not have been able to say you've. He would have needed to say you have every time. This is all easily explained away, however, as it's a dream sequence with several other abnormalities, including Data beating Picard in poker with a most curious poker hand of 5 queens of hearts. Picard looks dumbfounded and then sees Mars out the window and realizes something is wrong. He knows the Enterprise shouldn't be anywhere near Mars. We then see explosions on Mars. The Enterprise shakes and Picard wakes up from the dream. All in all, it was good to see Data again, even if it was just dream Data, though it's clear Brent Spiner has aged out of being able to play Data full time. We find Picard is living on his vineyard in France. He has a dog, a pit bull named Number 1, who is the first to greet him when he wakes. We find others also live with Picard, a Romulan couple named Zhaban and Laris. We get their backstory in the Picard Countdown comics. Check the top right to learn all about those comics. All we need to know now is that they're a couple who used to run their own vineyard on a Romulan colony, and Picard saved their lives. They had nowhere to go after the supernova, and have been living with Picard since 2386. After the Picard sequence, we get a shot of future Boston, which, to be honest, just looks like Boston with extra lights and some flying cars. We see a young couple in bed, a human-looking woman staring into the eyes of an alien with polka-dot eyes and dark skin. Turns out in the conversation, he's a Zean, which is the same race as the alien from the short trek Runaway, which I hold to be the worst scripted piece of entertainment ever created. We learn the woman was just accepted to the Daystrom Institute, majoring in cybernetics. The boyfriend gets up to get her a snack when masked assassins beam in and immediately kill the boyfriend. The assassins beat the girl and try to abduct her. They then yell, "She's activated," and the girl transforms into a killing machine that bests the 3 attackers at hand-to-hand combat, killing them all with her own weapons. She goes to see her boyfriend, who is clearly dead and in a pool of his own blood. This is not like any Star Trek we've seen before. Back on Picard's vineyard, we see him getting ready for something, but we're not immediately clued into what it is. Simply that it's the big day. We saw earlier it is the anniversary of the synthetics attack on Mars, which is fully explained in my Children of Mars short track review, which you can check the top right corner for the link. The synthetics attack occurred on the anniversary of First Contact Day, but that is not brought up. It turns out the big day was that Picard agreed to be interviewed by someone from the Federation News Network, or FNN. He confirms with Laris that she confirmed with FNN that they would not ask him about why he left Starfleet. They would only ask about the supernova. The interview begins, and the reporter is nice enough and introduces Picard, a man who needs no introduction. She calls him Admiral Picard, and he corrects her to say retired. The reporter asks how he felt when he found out the Romulan sun was going to go supernova, and Picard said he had no words to describe it. But before he finishes, she cuts him off, and the gotcha journalism begins. She goes on about the attack. We learn that the death toll in the Mars attack was nearly 100,000, not the 3,000 we saw in the early estimates in the Children of Mars short track. We learn the attack was so bad Mars's atmosphere is still burning, and Starfleet banned all synthetic life. We also learn that since all the ships that were going to be used to rescue the Romulans were destroyed, Starfleet changes its mind and doesn't help rescue the Romulans they promised to help. Picard is seemingly on the defense, and then she does it. She asks why he left Starfleet. Picard looks down, mumbles an answer. She asks him again, louder, why did you leave Starfleet? Picard is angered, and clearly says now, because they weren't Starfleet anymore. He says the interview is over and gets up to walk away. At this point in the show, we have a lot of information on what has happened in the last 20 years, and we're going to get even more. But I'm going to stop the detailed breakdown at this point, because I don't want to go into full-on spoilers in this review. I'll be more than happy to talk spoilers in my live streams. I can say this. I woke up at 3 a.m. to watch Picard, and I'm happy I did so. I give the episode an 8.5 out of 10. It is the best Star Trek episode I've seen in over 15 years. Only several episodes of Enterprise would rank as high. Mom O'Cray really enjoyed it too. Neither of us can remember the last time we sat for 46 minutes straight watching a TV show without getting up or even getting coffee or a snack. I have to say I really can't imagine the first episode being much better. Sure, in hindsight there are always nitpicks and always things I would do differently, but I must hand it to those involved and give credit where it is due. However, please don't be lured into a false sense of security. This first episode was over 90% all Patrick Stewart airtime. We have yet to be introduced to most of the new characters that will be part of his ragtag crew. Patrick Stewart is an amazing actor who commands respect when he is on the screen. It will be much more difficult to keep the show as good as this first episode when they must give more airtime to the other characters. What I can say is you absolutely should watch this episode of Star Trek Picard. And if by chance you haven't yet, and you haven't heard the spoilers, stop watching other YouTube videos right now and come back once you've finished. I don't want to ruin it for you. There is plenty more than I've discussed. What you do need to understand is that while this takes place in the Star Trek universe, this is different than any Star Trek we've seen before. Even Discovery, as much as I dislike Discovery, and I admittedly call it STD, STD is still where no man has gone before Star Trek. That is, for the most part, it is holding true to the original vision of exploring new life and new civilizations. All previous treks, even Deep Space Nine, did this. Some did it better than others, but every one was ultimately about exploration, finding new worlds, new aliens, new life, and most importantly, perhaps, new ideas and new ways of looking at our world. Star Trek Picard is not this kind of Star Trek. In my previous video, I called it Earth Trek, and the vast majority of the first 3 episodes, at least, are expected to take place on Earth. But even once they do go into space, they're clearly not going to be seeking out new life and new civilization. They aren't going to be boldly going where no man has gone before. They're going to be kicking ass and taking names. They're going to change the world, or perhaps the galaxy, or die trying. While I give this first episode a great score, I am less confident about future episodes, though hopeful. Time will tell, and I'm just thankful I will look forward to waking up early again next week to see the first Trek in over 15 years, or I'll be looking forward to the second episode. Qapla all, and take care. Thank you all for watching my video. Please remember to comment, like, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that bell icon. Without it, you won't get notifications of new videos. Check out BirdoPrey5.com, the new home of everything Bird of Prey 5 on the web. You can also check out my forum at juot.net. I'm also on social media, on Facebook, Twitter, and Gab. If you'd like to make a donation, check out paypal.me/BirdoPrey5 or on BirdoPrey5.com. Take care.